Me.
You did it last time, so I mean, I can try. We'll see. We'll see how I follow along here.
All right, so we're recording, Kayla. We're in quorum, so you can open the meeting. And like I said, with the Zoom meeting, we just need to do a roll call attendance, and then go from there. So,
All right. So we are going to start our April 7th meeting at 7:02 p.m. via Zoom. Let's take a roll call. Stephen, are you here?
I'm here.
Amy?
I'm here.
All right. And then Kayla, myself, I am here, and that makes 3. So
I can
let's start.
I can bring up the agenda, Kayla, if that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I have it pulled up,
Yeah,
but
I'll share my screen so people can see it for those.
okay, cool. Approval of the minutes.
I can pull this up as well.
Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from March 3rd?
Yeah.
Yep. I've read them. I'll put forward that we accept the minutes from March 3rd.
Okay. And Amy, will you second that?
Yes, I second the minutes. I was fine with them. Thank you.
Is that all I need to do?
And then we have to take a roll call vote as well for all 3 of you.
Okay. Let's vote. Stephen?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And I say yes as well.
Passes 3-0. Excellent.
Next is presentation and open focus group Ferry Street Playground replacement.
All right, so before I start this, let me see if anybody else is from the public is here. Give me 1 second. Let me unshare my screen so I can look to see. I don't see anybody from the public, so I will reshare my screen. So this presentation, I'll be presenting tomorrow as well to the Accessibility Advisory Commission for a letter of support. And then also, if needed, present at town meeting. So just so you guys get a sneak peek, and happy to take feedback as well as we move forward. So if it works here, there we go. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So we're talking tonight about the Ferry Street Playground Replacement Project. Just a little background about the project as a whole. So the farthest records that I could find, and I'm very thankful that Betty and Jen kept a lot of the paper records, was able to look back, was that the playground itself, the way that it looks now, was built in 2001. But Daryl, our parks guy, is saying it's a lot older than that. Either if it's 2001 or later or earlier or later than 2001, the playground basically is at the end of its useful life. Some parts are broken. There's no replacement parts. They've just what's it called? Discontinued. And for those that can see in the screen, the green dinosaur in the backdrop of the picture, there's a plastic, looks like a viewing globe that is broken, and also it's a piece we cannot replace. There's a huge crack in it. It's broken. So that's just another example of why this picture was taken before it was broken, but just to kind of let you know that there are some broken pieces to the equipment currently. The timing right now is fortuitous to improve, expand, and upgrade play opportunities at one of our largest and most used playgrounds. Even before Norcross, I've been told that Ferry Street was a pretty highly trafficked playground. So I'm hoping to take advantage of that high use by improving the project. So you guys know this, but for anybody out there who's online, we did participate in a facility strategic plan, which highlighted 6 properties in town, Ferry Street being one of them. The commission, obviously you guys, we drafted and reviewed a 5-year capital expenditure and a 5-year program plan to support the work outlined in that plan. Info is on the website. You guys have seen it, so you guys know, but it is available on the website if anybody's curious about, what did the strategic plan say? Playground replacement was one of the points. So there's that. So any questions so far before I continue?
Yeah.
Project over. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Stephen. Go ahead.
What was the total cost of the mini Fenway Park?
I don't have that information on me, but I can definitely get it for you and let you know at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd be curious for comparative purposes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get that info and bring it to the next meeting. All right, so this is the product overview. So this is going to kind of talk about what the project's going to look like. I know I've sent you guys some renderings. This playground will be similar in style to Norcross. Where it will have components for ages up to 6 months and up. And unlike Norcross, this project will be 100% port-in-place surfacing. I know that a lot of the feedback from the playground itself was that it's half and half, and it's challenging because the chips get on the playground mulch gets on the port-in-place rubber, et cetera, et cetera. We went with a full port-in-place rubber surfacing for this one, which makes it 100% accessible for anybody with mobility issues. And port-in-place rubber surfacing itself is one of the most durable, but also one of the most safe surfaces out there. When you look at surfacing, regardless if it's playground mulch or port-in-place rubber, there's a number called critical fall height. Basically, it's a formula that playground inspectors and playground builders can calculate, basically saying after a certain number of feet, a fall from that height is unsafe. And port-in-place rubber is one of the highest numbers in that port-in-place surfacing for critical fall height, just because it's rubber and it's meant to absorb impact. So just fun fact about that. So the features of this property. So each property has, I'm going to circle them for you as we go through the presentation. So there's a 5 to 12-year-old structure, which is the big structure on the top right that looks kind of like a climbing complex with the slide attached to it. The next structure is the 2 to 5-year-old structure, which is circled in like brownish yellow in the back. It's kind of like a traverse in the middle. Also next to it, that little igloo, get out of it so you can see it. That igloo is also designed for ages 2 to 5 as well. It's kind of like a hidden, you can crawl into it, crawl out kind of thing. So there's that. It's hard to see in this picture, but there'll be other angles of this picture. But there's a 6 months to 2-year-old structure, similar in style to the one at Norcross. It's kind of like a mini house. There's some fun little trinkets and stuff for kids to play in the actual house itself. And there's a handful of standalone elements, which are circled in blue, kind of like at Norcross, where there's instruments, there's things they can, hit with a mallet, things like that. All of that is available. And then didn't circle it on this rendering, but you'll see in other angles too. We have a shade structure on the left and some seating elements as well in here as well. So any questions about this angle of the playground before we go into the next look? Okay. Again, same thing here, just different angle. Everything's circled the same way that it is. Just showing you the shade structure. I did forget to mention there are swings as well for the property. Again, just showing a different angle of the property for you all there. And again, just another angle. And to give you some clarity on this, so the bottom part of the image where there's the 2 bongo drums and the slide that's facing towards us, this is the edge of the playground that is the closest to the baseball fields and the parking lot. And the back end where the small 6 month to 2-year-old structure is closest to the fence where the street is. The next image will show you kind of like an overhead shot and kind of look like if we were to take a 2D image of the playground and place it where on like a Google map, what it would look like. We'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But before we get into that, any questions about any structures, anything else that you can see here? Any questions?
Adam, we mentioned on, I think, a recent meeting, we were talking about additional swings. Is there any opportunity to put an additional swing in there? When you refer to this as 3 swings, there's the little infant swing, there's the seat swing,
Yep.
and then there's the single kid play.
Yeah, the bucket swing. Yeah.
Bucket swing.
The problem is with swings, they have so each of these elements has what's called like a safe use zone. Swings are the worst in the best way.
Yeah.
So basically, you have to create enough area around the swing that equals the length of the. Let me try to explain this without making it too complicated. The length of the chain from the top of the pole of where it's anchored to the bottom of the swing needs to be enough space in front of the swing and behind the swing.
Yep.
So swings are the hardest square footage wise to get more than 3 to 4 in a structure. The current swings now are actually in the back where the house is going to be. But the snag is with that is that actually the proper safe zone behind there is actually with grass, and grass is considered a safe surface. So in theory, I don't want to call it, we're not out of code or anything like that. It was built, decades ago, but with a lot of the new, safe zone technologies, they recommend that you have that space just so kids aren't getting, clobbered in the head with a free swing or anything like that.
Okay. All right. So that just it's
that's as many as he could fit,
as many as you can fit. Yeah.
Safely. Yep.
I'll teach them they'll have to learn how to take turns.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing because it's kind of a bummer that there's only one of each style.
Mhm.
Was there no way to rework it to fit like even just one more anywhere, or is this the only way that it could be designed?
So if you can use your imagination, so if we removed the 6 month to 2-year-old play set, in theory, we probably could put 4 swings back there, but it would just eliminate that youngest age group ability to play. So I kind of like grappled with it a lot, but my goal is to try to give as many kids of various ages the ability to play. That was kind of my vision, but I can definitely get some renderings of what it would look like without the 6 month to 2-year-old play set and put the swings back there and see what it looks like, if it's even possible. Again, I don't have like the numbers, but I can see if it's even possible to do that, and then we can bring it because so.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So this is kind of the image that I talked about, and actually you can see this is a good, actually good visual. So each of the structures are here, of course, and you can see this is kind of like a Google Images drop. At the bottom of the screen-ish, you'll see that's where the 6 month to 2-year-old house is down at the bottom. About middle up in the screen is that 2 to 5-year-old structure. Top left is 5 and up, and then the swing set. And you can actually see those safe zones I was talking about are actually highlighted in red dashes in here. So you can see it's a puzzle piece to figure out to make it work. Overlaps are okay depending upon the structure itself. Like, for example, there's a fairly large overlap in the 6 month to 2-year-old structure going into the 2 to 5-year-old structure, but also on the left of that structure is like a little, it's like a tractor, like not bouncy, but swingy. Because those are ground elements and they're not swings, they're okay to overlap like that. Because the swing on the 5 to 12-year-old component goes away from where the swings are, where that safe zone is, they're allowed to overlap there. So, just this kind of gives you a good visual of like how they made this work with such a short square footage.
The more I look at it, the
yeah, it's tight. It's very tight.
Adam, is the like safe zones, is that like a state mandated?
So I don't know if it's a state mandate. It's more kind of like best practices for playgrounds. It's I don't know the acronym, but the ASTM is basically an organization that evaluates safety, and not just playgrounds, but also I think like occupational workplaces and things like that. But they kind of set like this is like the gold standard of safety with playgrounds. So, any other questions? So yeah, so you'll see this is kind of how it goes. They are installing a new shade structure, but the shade structure in the bottom left that's kind of in the corner is staying. So we'll have 2 shade structures at the playground, which is great. Because I know the biggest concern about Norcross is shade. So there'll be the one that's currently installed there, the one that will be installed, and there's a couple of trees you can kind of see in the Google Map images, but it'll be shady in there. So there's that. At the bottom of this, underneath the images, just kind of highlights how many accessible components we have for just ADA accessibility. So you can see that there's 11 ground level components that are accessible, which is great. There's no real requirement, but obviously the more the merrier. Norcross has a bunch more just because they have more square footage. But just to kind of show you that we are making a commitment to being as accessible for those with mobility issues as possible. So any questions about this, about any of the other renderings or anything else?
Oh, it looks good, Adam.
Great. Okay. Just a couple of FAQs. So pour in place rubber, a lot of people, have asked like, oh, why don't you just use the playground mulch? It's cheaper. every 5 to 7 years, you're either replacing with more playground mulch, or you're having to move it every, every couple of months because obviously kids are using it. It tends to kind of compact, obviously, underneath the high traffic areas like the bottom of swings, things like that, bottom of slides. But pour-in-place rubber, we get about 20 to 30 good years out of it, depending upon usage. So just fun fact about that. People have also mentioned issues with PFAS because it's rubber. So there was a study, and I can provide the study if you guys want an actual document, but California did a study about this and indicated there's minimal, if any, PFAS concentrations in port-in-place rubber installations. They're saying they identified less than 1 part per million, which is considered to be an acceptable level, and is also free from any materials like asbestos, formaldehydes, things like that. So,
Adam,
There's-
does it heat up? Like, does it get hot?
I mean, it gets warm, but it doesn't get like when we think of like when you were kids, you had those metal slides that
Yeah.
turn into like, no, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
warm like it. It gets warm, of course, but
Yeah, of
it
course,
doesn't
yeah.
get like I
Burn.
can't walk on it. Yeah.
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 All right.
No. So, any other questions about that or any concerns?
No, I just wanted to ask because some kids just like take off their shoes at the park,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's again, it gets warm, but it's fine. It's this color that we're using, the green, is the same as Norcross, and because it's not all dark, it doesn't get as warm either. The green
Yeah.
is kind of light, which is helpful. And of course, you have to go with Grafton Green because you're in Grafton. So,
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Cool. All right, so this is just kind of a breakdown of the funding mechanisms. So the total projects cost $392,000 and change. That includes removing the old equipment, putting in the new equipment, the port-in-place rubber, et cetera, et cetera. The 2 funding mechanisms, of course, we've talked about. It's $100,000 in a capital ask and $292,000 in a CPC request. Excuse me. So a lot of people have also asked about funding, like why are we putting $100,000 into a playground when the school budget is struggling, or when you're talking about overrides? If capital comes out of basically one-time money is what we call it. So capital is taken out of free cash. Free cash is a number, basically it's a number that's contributed by 2 factors. One is, let's just say I have $100 budget a year for the rec department and I spend $50 of it. That $50 goes into free cash. The other part of it is any type of additional projects that completed under budget. It gets put in one-time funds. Unfortunately, that money can't go into operating, so it can't go back and solve the budget, the budget win or the budget difference. But people did ask that a lot, so I just thought for you guys, just as a fun fact, in case people do come to you and say, why this playground versus the schools? So just so you know there. And then CPC is again a separate pot of money, so it is raised through tax dollars, but it's an additional tax on top of what you pay in your taxes, if that makes sense. So it's a fund. This whole fund gives money for projects out of 4 buckets. One is recreation, affordable housing is another one. First, historical preservation, and there's one more. I think is it open space, Stephen? I think actually, now I think about it.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah. So recreation being one of them. So that's where the 2 pots of money are coming from for the project. So that will obviously balance out, and we'll have it'll be fully funded. Both the capital article and the CPC article are in the town meeting warrant, so it'll go to a vote at town meeting for appropriation for those projects. So, any questions about the dollars?
Yes, if we don't spend the $100,000 out of the capital budget, doesn't that go back into next year's budget?
It goes into free cash we use for capital and other projects. So let's just say, like, if the fire department's capital request for a fire truck was $50 over and we were $50 under, that can be moved, but we can't use that for operating. So you can't move $50
Okay, so you can't move
into
it
the
to
school budget
budget, for
or
example.
the rec
Okay.
department's budget next year.
All right.
So, any other questions?
And the CPC is not I'm playing devil's advocate. The CPC is not an additional tax over and above what I already pay.
Yeah, so you're paying your tax bill every quarter anyways. You don't see a separate, like, this is the CPC's chunk. It's just the total tax bill is X plus, I think it's 1.5%. I forgot the percentage, but
It actually does on the tax bill.
Oh,
and
it does. Oh.
CPC, yes.
oh, cool. I didn't know that. That's good.
Contribution. So
Good to know.
you know you're paying it on
Yeah.
the tax bill. But this is as you mentioned, it's only used for available for four other items. It's in there. The balance is there, so we can freely use it for those type of projects.
Right.
And this is one of the projects that we want to use it for.
Yeah. And I mean, from other communities that I've used, I mean, they've used it for things like the strategic plans and other things like that. It just depends. But obviously, my goal is to, follow our capital plan that we set up and use the funds that are out there, and CPC is a good pot of money to tap into. So
We went through a lot of this explaining with Super Park.
the good old Super Park.
Yeah.
So, any other questions about this?
No, thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Well, there's nobody from the public on here, but I will stop sharing my screen. Does anybody have any questions from the commission about the project? Anything else that I missed, or any feedback about the presentation? Anything you thought for information wise might be helpful? Like I said, I plan to present this tomorrow at Accessibility Advisory Commission to get a letter of support, and then potentially may have to present this at town meeting. So
At the town
it looks good.
meeting, sorry,
No, that's okay.
I was gonna recommend that at the town meeting, you don't want to be very crisp as far as what CPC and the capital 100,000 capital money is for and how it can be used. Because if you use the wrong terminology, wrong wording, people will jump all over it.
We'll eat
"Well,
it up, yeah.
I'm not paying for that. And it's like,
Yes.
you're already CPC, you've already paid it.
Right.
yeah,
Just
the money's
stop.
already there. Right.
This is what we struggled with explaining during the Super Park. Say it quietly.
You know what
We
you
just
should
told-
think of, Adam? You should, if it's like complex, right? Think of an example that's really simplistic that you could use so that people could relate to, right?
Yeah.
Like this sounds silly. I was at work the other day on this complex financial thing, and someone related it to chocolate chip cookies. And so you could like really understand. I'm not saying if you use chocolate chip cookies, but what I'm saying is like make it something that
Yeah.
like everybody can really understand as an example, because that's what made me think of it, Kayla, when you were like, that's what hindered the Super Park. People couldn't like grasp it. So if there's a way that we can do that, maybe that'll be helpful
Yeah.
for the public. Yeah.
That's good
just
feedback.
just be ready for it anyway. That is a good suggestion.
Yeah, and I mean, this town meeting, I'm a little, the last town meeting, I felt like things were very predictable, and I don't know how predictable this town meeting is just based on how everything has gone down. So
Mhm.
we get to be prepared and break things down a lot easier for people. So that's helpful.
Mhm.
But I think it looks great. I wish we
Great.
could get one more swing, but we already talked about that. But other than that, it really looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I said, we've gotten some feedback from people. Nobody's, but I can definitely see if I can get a rendering of like I said, removing this 6-month property and see if that makes a significant difference. And obviously, if it's the price is still on board, then that's great, because by the next meeting, we'll be right before town meeting. But if we have a good plan, and once we get it approved, we can move forward. So I can definitely reach out to them.
I
And
have
I see
one-
what you're saying. Oh, go ahead, Kayla.
Sorry, I have one quick question. The bathrooms just stay put and exactly how they are, correct?
The bathrooms?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not going to touch them. They're going
next
to
to
stay
the
there.
playground.
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Sorry, Amy.
Oh,
What
no,
were
it's fine. I was gonna say, like, I understand where you're trying to have like all age groups, but the 6-month-old, right? That
Yeah.
age group isn't gonna be utilizing it as much as like the other age groups.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I'd really like to look into the swing option a little more. I'd
Yeah.
hate to get rid of a whole structure, but I just see all these siblings
Yeah.
down at Ferry every time there's a baseball game, and they're all gonna want to be swinging, and
Yeah.
it's just,
Together,
it's a
yeah.
lot of it's a lot of older kids, not older
Yeah.
kids, but that get just sent over there during the games.
Yeah.
And they can kind of fend for themselves. And I feel like it's very
Mhm.
popular for that age group who wants to be swinging. So when I saw just like one standard seat, I was like, oh, because they can't even like, I don't know. I grew
Yeah.
up like racing my friends on them. And
Yeah,
I'm like, let's see who can get higher
We used to
faster.
have 4 or 5, like
Three or
it's-
four, yeah,
Yeah.
three or
yeah,
four
4 or
swings in a
5 in a
row. Yeah.
row.
But
And then,
even just one more so that two
Yeah.
friends can be on it,
yeah,
would be really nice to see.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. That's good feedback.
Uh-oh.
Well,
happened?
I
What?
can't see anything.
Oh, we can see you.
Oh no.
Yeah, you look normal. Everything's fine.
My screen went black, but I can hear you.
Oh my gosh. We can see you.
Just keep talking.
I'll keep talking, but I can't see what's written anymore
can-
on.
yeah, I can.
Hold on, I'll pull it up on my phone. What the heck just happened? Well, I know that we need to move on to approve the bills.
Yeah,
so-
Nexus bills.
All right, let's do that then.
Let me pull. Does anybody need me to pull them up and share them, or do you guys have a chance to review them?
I reviewed them.
I was
reviewed
able
them
to
also.
look.
Yeah.
Oh, good, I'm back.
I mean, I'm on my phone.
I can see everyone again. That was so weird. All right. There was one question that I had. About the bills.
Pull
Let's
them
see.
up with you here. Okay, go ahead. Let me just share them so as we're talking, I can go over all of it. Okay.
And of course, I'm not going to find it now.
Okay. What do you remember what it?
It said Christmas director
Oh, yeah. So that's the Christmas decorations. So
decorations.
decorations. Yep. So it's just a typo.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, who did we pay?
We
To
paid a
direct-
Christmas director, yeah, to direct
That was
crafts and
Santa.
celebrate the
Okay. All right. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's all I had. Did
Okay.
anyone else have any questions?
No, I didn't have any questions.
I didn't, Kayla.
Okay.
Excellent. Correspondence, there has been none. New business, there is none. Commission reports, Kristen's obviously not here, but for CPC, you guys kind of know what's going on. They're setting up the warrants for fall town or springtown meeting. Nothing new with 95 North Street. Stephen, open space, have you guys had?
We haven't had a meeting. We canceled the last one. We didn't have any agenda items.
No old business. So this one will be brief just because I've been enthralled in the preparing for town meeting with the presentations. And I've also been busy onboarding Jess, who's on the call. I think most of you met, Stephen, I know you met Jess because you
Yes.
came to
Mary's.
Mary's
away.
party. But Jess, just want to introduce yourself real quick. So Jess took over for Mary. She's been, this is week 2 now?
We're on week 3.
Week 3, okay.
Wow.
She's hit the ground
Hi.
running, so
Oh, yes.
introduce yourself to the crew and go from there.
Yep. Born and raised in Grafton. I will say the past 2 weeks, absolutely love it. People I work with pretty much welcomed me in with open arms. So I'm very happy to be part of the team.
Welcome again.
Welcome, Jess.
Awesome.
Nice to have you.
Well-
Thank you.
She gets an easy meeting this one. She doesn't have to take minutes because we're recording it all. So I told her this is an easy one to get through. Next month when you actually have to take notes, it'll be a trial by fire. So
I have some little notes going on over here, so I'm trying to ease into it.
awesome, great. Okay, thanks, Jess. Yeah, so we've been working on getting her onboarded. We're kind of in like this weird place outside of that of like getting ready for summer.
Mhm.
So we've been getting ready for the beach. We're hiring. We have one more lifeguard spot to fill. Summer days, we are fully staffed. We have opened registration to non-residents and we're getting a couple of trickling in, which is good. So that's good. don't think of what else is going down the pipeline. I've been now that Jess is semi-settled and Bridget's kind of hitting the ground running, I've been in grant writing mode. So I've been writing a couple grants. One is for an organization that gives what they call camperships. So basically, they give money to organizations to provide scholarships for kids for camp. So it's a $5,000 grant. I what's it called? I wrote, and then also I wrote a grant for a fully wheelchair accessible beach wheelchair. Cody and Bridget and myself attended the Mass State Park and Rec Conference a couple weeks ago, and they got a lot of great resources for grants. And this one is basically they give you a free wheelchair. It's kind of got should have brought a picture, but basically got these large like balloon style wheels, and it gives
Oh, yeah.
people that are in wheelchairs the ability to go in the water with the wheelchair itself and float on the wheelchair.
Wow.
It's a completely free thing. They literally just ask you to maintain it and keep it safe. So
Wow.
applied for that. So in an effort for us to continue to be, focused on inclusion and accessibility, I thought, hey, if it's free, it's for me, as my grandma used to say.
Mhm.
So I've just been in that mode, preparing for a couple of other grants that are coming out. Still looking around town for some open space that we can use potentially to build another field. Kind of at a dead end with that, but looking at a couple properties, might potentially apply for a grant to get a designer to potentially design out what a property would look like, depending upon, there are a couple open spaces in Grafton that have the acreage that we would need, but it's all trees. So we would need some semblance of a more finite plan. So we need to have a consultant potentially look at what that would look like. And then just preparing for, like I said, everything summer. We've got a couple of big events coming up. We've got the tree planting event, the end of April, April 26th. Then we have May's pretty busy. We've got the yard sale, we've got the road race, and then June is Big Truck Day, and then it's pedal to the floor, summer camp until August. So we're just getting ready. So any questions about anything for updates or any questions about programming?
No, good recap, Adam.
No, thank you.
That's all I have. So then, yeah, that's really it. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, the next meeting's May 5th. It'll be in person.
I'll remember that.
You'll just show up.
Yeah, of course, on like the rainiest, night I'm
Yeah.
there, but whatever. It's under the water, all under the whatever that saying is.
All right.
Under the
So
bridge.
if there's no questions, are we ready to close the meeting?
Yes, I propose that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Stephen?
At 7:35 PM.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
That's a quick one.
That's
Thank you very much.
easy. So awesome.
Very quick.